A special welcome to all of you again. I do have another tutorial for you to maybe learn something that you don't know yet quite how to do. I've been asked by several YouTube users, how is it the best way to stitch a zipper into a dress when I at the same time want to stitch a lining in the back. The same would be for a jacket, if you have a lining in the jacket and the zipper on top. And exactly that is what I'm going to show you right now. So I prepared a piece of lining and some main material here, and I got my zipper here that I would like to stitch in. The first thing you should know is, when you do your cutting, make sure wherever you want to put a zipper in that you have an allowance of 1.5 centimeters seam in that zipper area, not a centimeter. That would definitely be too small. So what I did with my lining, I added my 1.5 centimeter on both sides. That means I got 3 centimeters here, and I closed the bottom part of this, let's call it a dress. I closed that seam there already, because in this part goes my zipper. And I ironed it apart, but only on the area where I have my seam, not where the zipper will go in. With my upper material, I did it very similar. I also exactly measured the length of my zipper, and I closed the bottom part completely up to the bottom here. I also got an allowance of 1.5 centimeters. That means I got across here 3 centimeters. I ironed it apart, and before I iron this all the way to the top, I also put an interfacing that I ironed on exactly in this area where the zipper will be, and then I ironed it over. It gives me a much better edge, and it makes it very easy to stitch the zipper into this. To stitch this zipper in, you start with the lining, which you prepared the way I've just told you. You have the lining facing the proper side upwards towards you. The seam is on the bottom. And you take your zipper. Now the zipper will not go good side onto good side. That would be wrong. This is my, unfortunately my zipper got this part missing here, which you hopefully can see, but this is the way you have to put it on. The right side of the zipper is going to be facing you, and the right material of the lining is facing you. So turn this top bit over away towards the side, and as you probably have a 1 centimeter seam allowance up here on the neck part, in case of this would be a dress as an example, you put it 1 centimeter down here, and you start stitching this. And as I have a 1.5 centimeters seam added onto here when I cut this piece, I have a little bit of my lining standing over. Now I close the zipper. As you can see, here's my slider for the zipper, and I just stitch this piece all the way down. Now as you can see, my foot is my normal 5 millimeter foot on each side. If you want to put a smaller foot on, this is no problem. Then all it means is on your finished zipper here, your lining will be a little bit closer on, which is fine. But I on purpose want to show this to you with my normal foot, in case if you don't have a big variety of different feet on your sewing machine. So when it comes to getting closer to your seam down here, you have to put the middle of your zipper exactly on top of your seam. That is then middle and middle. And you stitch all the way until you're parallel with your last stitch here, or your first stitch here from closing this seam. And like I said, the middle of the zipper has got to be right on top of that seam down there. So I stitch to there, and I stop. Now there's two possibilities of doing this, two ways of doing this. The easy way, if you're not so firm with cutting into materials and if you don't like that, you just fold this part up now, and when you look now and put this right over, you see there's my zipper, there's my seam, and I'm putting this right there like that. Then I fold it over. I again have my lining slightly shining out, and I start stitching up here. I'm finishing there because I actually want to show you a different way, but here you can see already, if you go on your ironing board now and iron this up, then your lining is already perfectly finished for the inner side of your dress. That is the easy way. If you don't like this idea, I show you what you got to do. Next, I'm just going to open this little seam and I'll show you the other possibility. The second way and possibility of putting this lining neatly into your garment is a little bit more difficult, but it is definitely the professional way. So I suggest you look at this very carefully and try to do it as well. Again, your lining has got to be facing the proper side upwards towards you, and the same the zipper. The correct way is facing you. You're not putting right onto right, you're putting left side from the zipper on the right side. As you can see it here, that is my seam, the finished seam that I ironed apart. Again up here, I just fold this zipper towards the underneath, and I leave 1 centimeter my seam allowance standing over up there. And now I just have a little bit of the lining again sticking over here, and I stitch down all the way this lining part. Now on the first version that I showed you, I told you to put the middle of the zipper onto the seam. Well, this is different now. Fold the seam that you might have there to the opposite side, and now put the zipper next to your seam that you have here. Now is important, the space you need towards the seam and the middle of your zipper should be exactly the same after you've done the seam coming down here. You can see that, or you can measure it if you wish by saying, okay, at the moment the way I have this lying here is between the middle of the zipper and my seam approximately 1.4 centimeters or 14 millimeters. That means I should be coming down here and have here 7 millimeters, which puts me directly into the middle. And also here I will stitch slightly underneath that hard bit from the zipper, because later on I do not want to stitch over that and break my needle. So I hope you can see this well. Now this space towards the seam or towards the middle of the zipper has got to be even, because we have to flip it over, and then again the middle will be on top of the seam. So far so good. Now I'm turning this over, and to make it easier for myself to see better, I'm just slightly gonna take a little bit of that seam material that I got here out, because it makes it easier for me to see the next step. You can see I only cut just a little bit out there. That's fine for me. Now you have to be brave and do a cut into that corner towards the seam that you've just made. You see, here's my zipper. I turn it around, and now I will cut from here right onto that part. That means underneath I make sure that I'm not cutting the zipper, so I'm just holding it underneath a little bit away with my fingers. And here I try to avoid to cut through my thread, and I cut directly onto that last stitch there. Don't try to cut with the back of your scissors. You can easily slip farther on and kill your material that you have there. Always do a cutting like that with the front of the zippers, as you've just seen it, me doing it. Now we turn this around and turn the zipper right away over. That means now you can see I'm turning this part onto that in a right angle, and here you can see now that my zipper middle will come to the middle of my seam that I have there. And as I cut it in directly into that corner, maybe I can show you from this side as well, you can see here's my last stitch, and I will have to go across there now, but I will do this from that side. So again, I'm checking that exactly my middle zipper is on my seam here. I'm checking underneath here again that I'm correctly, and here I hope you can see this as I got exactly the same color thread on. Here's my last stitch, and I will have to go across here now exactly to the same position that I had there. And if you have this lying in a right angle on top of each other, you will also down here get a perfect right angle now. So I start exactly on that last stitch that I have there. And now you can see I can very well get past my zipper there. And here again I have to very firm do the back and forward stitching there. And now you can see already how my corner is nice and neat right there. So again we have to do some cutting, this time towards that last stitch that you've just made. Again, make sure you're not cutting anything else underneath. If you can't feel it, then turn it around and have a look, and then again do a cut right there, not any farther, and don't stop much before, because then the corner also will be getting nice. And now I take my seam, take my zipper, and before I stitch it, you can look on this side and check what that looks like. And that looks nice for me. So you can also see on this side that this is exactly there my last stitch. So again here I start exactly on my last stitch. That's where I'm starting. And I look for my lengths right away, that I'm here correctly at the end. And now I just go up here all the way exactly as I did my first side. And here, again, as you know, I like to fold this zipper part over right away, and I'm stitching this up to there. So now I will just go to the ironing board, and I continue in a moment with you how to put the main material onto this. So as soon as you ironed your lining the way you like it to be, in the distance you stitched it, you will take your main material and just finish off the top first. That means this one we prepared earlier on, as you remember. Now you take the lining and you put it right side on right side together at the moment. Not the zipper is the right side, the from the lining the right side, because now we will stitch this together in the way that the zipper will be exactly in the edge that you iron from the main material. So what you do is, I'll show that way first. As you can see, here was the seam. Here's the left side that we ironed over. So I repeat, you take this side. Now you fold open your ironed edge and you put the zipper with the zipper edges exactly onto the line that you ironed over. Now to make it easy, before we do the actual stitching there, just with a couple of stitches stitch this onto there, and you can do already the same on the other side. Open this up again. It fell over now, but it was open, so you fold this one open. Again, put the edge of the zippers, these little edges, directly onto the line that you ironed over. And now just hold this for you so it's in position. And now, I open this a little bit farther, still my broken zipper here. Now you take this edge, doesn't matter which side you do first, and fold it the way you ironed it over and completely stitch this seam, whatever dress you have here, if it's your neck color dress or whatever thing you got there, you close that. Now you do the same with that side. You fold this one over, or open, sorry, you fold it open. Now again in the ironed edge, you fold this. And now you stitch this side. The same, now feel where your zipper is, that you don't go over the zipper. So with other words, these ironed over edges, you just stitched on going over. Now we turn this inside out, and you got a beautiful little corner there. I do the same on this side, inside out. And now we got to check before we continue if our distance is the same on the zipper up here. That means you're closing your zipper maybe if you want to. Oops. That can happen. Turn it around. Now fold this over and check if you got a nice even edge here. You can see this not only from that side, also check it from this side. Then you see that you got one line here, that you even there. Alright, now we're almost finished. Open the zipper a little bit, and if you did a neck seam up here already, like I've just more or less given you as an example, stitch this down first so that it's held. Now this is all still open, as you see. Now look right away for your zipper, that it's on the edge with your ironed over material there. And now decide, depending on which foot you got on, how you want to stitch down here. So I'm just doing a couple of stitches first to put this now here in position. I open it a bit farther, nice zipper, and I lie exactly on these edges. Now what you got to consider, don't put the zipper too far back, because this also needs, as they go into each other, it gets a little bit smaller at the end. I mean, if you put it like that together, it's a different width as if it's really zipped together. So you got to be aware for that. So I'm letting my foot run against the zipper parts that I got there. And now you can use my trick that you can see in one of my tutorials. Use any kind of pattern you got. Put it right there. And you will see when you work with something like that with a pattern to put this zipper in, you do not necessarily need to put any needles in or any stitching first to hold it down. Nothing will move when you do it this way. So only do little bits. Keep on looking underneath. Look where your zipper is. Otherwise push it a little bit in. Then put your pattern there. When you get to a certain point that you know you got to move the sliding part from the zipper, you close it up there. I look a little bit underneath. Also always check that your lining is still in that position where you ironed it, that you're not stitching in any creases underneath. And here you can see already that this will come perfectly the way I want it. Again here, I take my pattern because it makes it so easy for myself. Now here important, look where the end of your zipper part is. So here at the end you got two possibilities. You can either say, okay, I'm going to go stitching back and forward here and then go over there and start new. Or you can say, oh no, I want to just stitch across. It makes no difference, it's the same. You can do it this way or that way. But of course if you don't go back and forward there and go across right away, then you don't have, if you have a thick thread on, it doesn't show so much, which is actually nicer. Make sure you're getting a right angle now. Make sure you're not going over your zipper part or that it's pushing you away. And here you're turning around. If you think you're a little bit too far, then go a touch back like I've just done. And now you can really nicely fold this here together. It's going to be looking so tidy when you do it that way. Now I close it a little bit first because I want to see how does this look up here. And I cannot see that unless I close that zipper for a moment, because I can open it up again then anyway. So now I'm using my pattern again, as you can see, because it makes it so easy for me to work like that. If you start doing that, you always gotta have one of these patterns lying around for any kind of jobs and work you do. Okay, it's time for me to open my zipper. Would be nice if I would have a slider on there. Here you can see how nicely it fits. For that last bit I don't need my pattern here, my guide. And also here I turn around right away and I stitch my top on. I make sure that my lining doesn't show out there. And here you see the zipper from this side. I close it for you. That's what it looks like. And when I turn it around, it should be also nice looking. There you go. You can see I'm almost exact there. I did slide off a little bit, but it doesn't matter because it's held. So that's just fine. That's fine for me. And that's the way you can put any zipper in your skirts, in dresses, in jackets, in coats, wherever you want one. Alright, now in one of my next tutorials, I can tell you right away, I will show you one more possibility, just how to fix that lining in if you do not have a seam. That makes it even easier because you might have a dress where you say, oh God, what am I going to do now? I got no seam in my dress. Well, I will show you in the next couple of days on a video, on a tutorial, where you just put the lining in without the seam. I will not show how to put that on because then you can look at this video anyway, but it will help you to put the zipper in either with a seam, without a seam, whatever you want. I hope this was a helpful tutorial for you. I'm looking forward to your comments, and I always enjoy them, and I enjoy doing these tutorials for you. Thank you so much. Until next time. Bye und tschüss.